Haruki Murakami is a well-known author, especially in his achievements of bringing both Eastern and Western culture into his books. He has won a variety of awards, such as the Franz Kafka Award and the World Fantasy Award. While there are many places we can start, a story of any person truly begins at the beginning of their lives. So, just like any other story, we will start there with Haruki Murakami. In Kyoto, Japan, around 1949, Chiaki and Miyuki Murakami welcomed their son Haruki Murakami into this world. At an early age, young Haruki was exposed to Japanese literature due to his parents' occupations. Both taught Japanese literature right at the end of World War II. World War II was a critical time for his parents, himself, and the future books he would soon go on to write. After growing up in Kobe, he moved to Tokyo within his adult years. While in Tokyo, he moved on to continue his education. He attended Waseda University, where he not only pursued his education, but met his soon-to-be wife Yoko. It wasn't until 8 years after their marriage that he began writing his first book, Hear the Wind Sing. Over the next multiple decades, he would go on to publish a variety of books. All his success would soon follow after his first publishing, as a soon-to-be trilogy would begin his rise to the top. The book was followed by 2 sequels, Pinball and finally, A Wild Sheep Chase to form the trilogy of The Rat. With A Wild Sheep Chase coming out to be published, the book was instantly acclaimed to fame in both Japan and the West. While many of his books acclaimed to fame in time, this book in particular was one that caught the attention of a world much further west than Japan. A Wild Sheep Chase follows the plot of our unnamed main character as he is put on the hunt for a certain sheep that has haunted many lives. He is assigned to find the sheep, and thus the hunt for it began. Many of his books began culminating into something that was entirely his own. While bringing in the traditional writing of Japanese style, Murakami also incorporates the Western writing style, often using some sort of humor to lighten up something that would be told much more seriously if told in the traditional Japanese-styled writing. Most of his writings are in reference to historical events, not only ones that are from the country of Japan, but from ones that impact many, if not all, on a global scale. Which brings us back to the reference of history itself. In regards to that subject, one event worked to majorly impact both his writing and his life outside of novel writing. Japan had gone through quite a lot during the duration of the Second World War. Once again, it presented the people with the threat. It posed a danger to not only their culture, but to their well-being for the country and its existence as well. During the beginning of the war, Japan went on to attack many of the Asian countries around it, choosing to side with Nazi Germany at the time. The siding of powers can also be seen in his books. In fact, many of his works are tied into events with historical significance. For example, after the Hanshin earthquake and the Tokyo subway sarin gas attack in 1995, he interviewed survival victims, as well as members of the religious cult responsible. This resulted in a series of books, Underground and Underground 2. Murakami's books hold this power to them, one in a style that is entirely his own. His work makes us wonder one question: where are you now? It is one question enough to make people question their entire existence at times. That's what makes his writing so special. As an article puts it, oftentimes, Murakami includes such fantasy-like settings that challenge your perception, yet somehow you feel like they make sense. When reading the chapters, you will feel odd, but at the same time, you find them very believable, as if you were just waiting for them to happen. In this sense, it almost feels like Murakami is pulling forward an existentialist question. What do you do to find your meaning of existence in an apparently absurd world? Do you accept it as it is, or do you try your best to figure out why that is the case? It is a very different way of thinking, one that we do not see in an everyday setting. It is strange and out of the ordinary in every single way, but somehow it makes sense. As strange as it is, everything falls into place, and the once confusing world of his books begin to take shape. This account is like so many others reading and admiring his work. Murakami is not afraid to shed light on situations that have been left in the dark. Some of Japan's worst moments can be captured and seen in his works. People become aware of the world and aware of themselves through the complex writing styles that readers are faced with understanding. He serves as a voice that people do not hear. In his own words, between a high, solid wall and an egg that breaks against it, I will always stand on the side of the egg. Yes, no matter how right the wall may be and how wrong the egg, I will stand with the egg. If there was a novelist who, for whatever reason, wrote works standing with the wall, of what value would such works be? He doesn't think like any other author out there. He turns his different perspective into words, and his words are combined to make something incredible. In his words once more, if you read only the books that everyone else is reading, you can only think what everyone else is thinking.